Chapter 471. Everyone, according to what the zombie guard said, there must be more people from the Heavenly Corpse sect in the deep pit. What do you plan to do next? Lu Ming changed the topic. I think we should leave this place immediately and report the situation to the higher-ups so that they can send stronger experts. Su Zhong said with a serious face. Although Lu Ming's battle strength was high, he was still a half-step king. If the other party sent out a second-layer Martial King expert, they would be in danger. In the Martial King realm, the difference between each layer was huge. A second-layer Martial King could easily kill a first-layer Martial King expert. I also think we should leave this place. Huang Jing said. I don't think so. The bald man looked at the deep pit and licked his lips. Oh? Su Zhong and the others looked at the bald man in surprise. Everyone, previously, the experts of Tianyun sect, Illusory Sword sect, and Black Lion Hall all disappeared. They must have been killed by the Heavenly Corpse sect and brought their corpses here. They must be using the corpses to practice some kind of cultivation technique or to refine some powerful corpse. Now that we've killed all 4 zombie guards, they've definitely heard the commotion, but they haven't shown themselves yet. I'm guessing that they're at a crucial moment in their cultivation. If we enter now, we might be able to kill them in one go. This would be a great contribution. The bald man's eyes were bright and filled with passion. The Heavenly Corpse sect and the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace were mortal enemies. Now, the Heavenly Corpse sect had infiltrated the eastern part of the Tianxian domain. If they could kill some zombie guards with high cultivation, the Heavenly Corpse sect would definitely reward them handsomely. Su Zhong and the others were instantly tempted. But I still think the risk is too great. Su Zhong frowned and said. Brother Lu, what do you think? The bald man looked at Lu Ming. Then, Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the others also looked at Lu Ming. It could be said that Lu Ming's battle strength was the strongest here. Imperceptibly, his weight in everyone's hearts had increased greatly. I'm fine with anything. Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Indeed, he did not mind. He had cultivated the 9 Dragons' Heaven stomping steps. If he really encountered an undefeatable expert, he was confident that he could escape. Seeing this, the bald man's eyes lit up, and he said, how about this? Let's go to that deep pit first and investigate it. If there's no danger, then we'll decide what to do next. How about it? If that's the case, it's feasible. Su Zhong pondered for a moment and said. Huang Jing and the white-haired old man nodded in agreement. This was the safest course of action. Since the decision had been made, everyone immediately restrained their auras and headed towards the deep pit. They slowly approached the deep pit. The pit was huge and round, with a diameter of more than 1,000 meters. It was pitch black and emitted a dense corpse aura. It was impossible to see what was down there. What should we do now? The first to speak was Huang Jing. I think we should withdraw first. Su Zhong said. Clang! At this moment, the sound of chains colliding could be heard from the bottom of the pit. Not good, the other party seems to be able to attack. Su Zhong's expression changed drastically. Clang! Clang! At this moment, the sound of chains colliding in the pit became even more intense. It was as if there were countless chains flying up in a frenzy. Retreat, let's retreat first. Su Zhong exclaimed. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed, and he also planned to retreat. At this moment, he suddenly felt a cold murderous intent on his left, spreading toward him. At the same time, an extremely sharp sword light pierced toward Lu Ming. The speed was as fast as lightning, and it approached Lu Ming in an instant. It did not come from the deep pit but from his side. It was one of his own. You're courting death. Lu Ming shouted coldly. As if he had grown eyes, the demon-banishing spear in his hand swept out. Boom! The sword chi collapsed, and a figure screamed. He was hit by Lu Ming's spear light and flew far away, sliding on the ground for more than 1,000 meters. At this moment, Lu Ming turned his head, his eyes cold and ruthless. It was the skinny man in his 50s, Song Ku. The one who sneaked an attack on Lu Ming was actually Song Ku. At this moment, Song Ku's body was almost blown apart by Lu Ming's spear. He was badly damaged and had suffered heavy injuries. What's going on? What's going on? Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the others finally reacted and exclaimed. They were all stunned, not understanding why Song Ku would suddenly sneak an attack on Lu Ming. Why are you guarding against me? Song Ku shouted unwillingly while coughing up blood. It's simple. From the beginning, you were too calm. Others looked down on me, but you were too calm, as if you already knew who I was. Moreover, on the way here, when you looked at me once or twice, there was a flash of murderous intent. Did you think I didn't notice? I just pretended not to know. Lu Ming sneered, looking coldly at Song Ku. A trace of fear flashed across Song Ku's eyes. He never thought that Lu Ming would be so meticulous at such a young age. It was just a small flaw, but it was noticed by Lu Ming. Tell me, who sent you to kill me? Lu Ming shouted coldly, and a cold murderous intent shrouded Song Ku. Don't even think about it. Even if you kill me, I won't tell you. Song Ku laughed. Damn it, Song Ku, you're so despicable. Let me kill you. The bald man was furious. He took a step forward and was about to attack Song Ku with his palm. But the moment the bald man attacked, his body suddenly twisted, and his body turned half a circle. A surging palm force was crazily aimed at Lu Ming's chest. This was too sudden. Even Lu Ming could not react. Subconsciously, the Nine Dragons' bloodline erupted, forming a powerful devouring force that enveloped his body. Following this, the bald man's terrifying palm force was crazily aimed at Lu Ming's body. The devouring force of the Nine Dragons' bloodline was unleashed, devouring almost half of the bald man's palm force. However, the remaining half still landed on Lu Ming's body. Bang! Lu Ming was sent flying backward as if he had been hit by an ancient mountain. Behind him was the deep pit. What are you guys doing? Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the white-haired old man were stunned. They did not understand why the bald man would suddenly attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming, die! The bald man burst out laughing. Meanwhile, the bald man transmitted his voice to Lu Ming, who asked you to offend the Thunder Hall Master? You're courting death. Besides, Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao are heading to the Scorching Sun Empire in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. Your friends and family will die. Bang! The bald man's words were like a clap of thunder that exploded in Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming's eyes turned red instantly. Thunder Hall Master, Qiu Changkong, Xue Chao, damn you, die, die, die. Lu Ming screamed in his heart. Clang! Chapter 472. Dozens of black iron chains, each as thick as a person's wrist, pierced through the air like black poisonous snakes with terrifying power. Every one of them had 4 to 5 iron chains on them. Get lost! The bald man roared as he slashed out with his saber. Rays of saber light split the iron chains apart. Swish! Swish! There were also 5 iron chains that wrapped around Lu Ming. Buzz! Buzz! Lu Ming waved his hand, condensing long spears that flew in all directions to block the iron chains. At the same time, his true chi burst out, and his body was about to soar into the sky. However, as soon as his body moved, a piercing pain came from his chest. He was indeed caught off guard by the bald man's sudden attack. The bald man had mocked Lu Ming as soon as they met, which made Lu Ming let down his guard. Now that he thought about it, it was all on purpose. Rise! Lu Ming roared as he forced his way up. Get down! The bald man roared as he held his saber with both hands. A blazing saber light slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Clang! Lu Ming blocked with his spear, but his body couldn't help but fall. Swish! Swish! The iron chains danced in the air as more than 10 iron chains wrapped around the bald man and Lu Ming. At the same time, more than 10 iron chains rushed out of the deep pit. Lu Ming resisted with all his strength, but in the end, he was still entangled by one of the iron chains. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, die obediently. The bald man laughed. Come down together. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he waved his hand. 7 or 8 spear lights pierced towards the bald man. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and grabbed one of the iron chains. He suddenly swung it, and the iron chain was infused with 3 types of intent as it attacked the bald man. The bald man roared as he tried his best to resist the iron chains around him. He also had to deal with the 10 spears that Lu Ming had thrown out. He was suddenly flustered. At this time, Lu Ming's iron chains broke through the bald man's defense and firmly entangled him. Damn it! The bald man was incomparably shocked and angry, roaring again and again. What are you shouting for? Let's go down together. Lu Ming sneered. Break! The bald man was so anxious that his bald head was covered in cold sweat. He frantically chopped at the iron chain with his saber. However, he didn't know what kind of material this iron chain was made of, but it was incomparably hard. The bald man simply couldn't break it in a short time. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this time, more iron chains wrapped around Lu Ming and the bald man, dragging them into the deep pit. Outside the crater, Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the white-haired old man did their best to escape the range of the iron chains. Huff huff, the iron chain dragged Lu Ming and the bald man down. No, no! I can't die here. The bald man struggled with all his might, roaring again and again. However, he could not break free from the shackles of the chains. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was very calm as he looked around. Along the way, Lu Ming had encountered countless dangerous situations. He knew very well that the more dangerous it was, the more he couldn't panic. Only then could he find a way to break free. The true dragon battle art in his body was circulating at full force, healing his injuries. The crater was really deep. The iron chains dragged the 2 of them down more than 2,000 meters before they finally reached the bottom. Bam! Bam! The iron chains dragged the 2 of them and slammed them to the ground. Then, the iron chains actually loosened, and Lu Ming and the bald man regained their freedom. Once he regained his freedom, the bald man hurriedly retreated to the side and looked at Lu Ming cautiously. Lu Ming glanced at him and then looked around. The crater was very dark and the distance one could see was very limited. Around them, one could vaguely see figures sitting cross-legged on the ground. On each of them, there were a few iron chains that swayed like poisonous snakes. At a glance, there were at least over 100 figures. Hee hee. Now that you have fallen into my 10,000 corpse ritual array, be obedient and become my refined corpses. At this moment, a cold voice rang out. People of the Heavenly Corpse sect, how dare you? I am a 2nd-grade Heavenly Divine Guard of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. I advise you to release me quickly. Otherwise, when the experts of my Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace arrive, it will be the time of your death. The bald man roared. Hee hee. So what if you are from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? Just now, there were indeed a few people who escaped. However, even if they reported to the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace sent experts here, it would take at least 3 days. 3 days is enough for me to complete my task and refine you all into refined corpses. That cold voice rang out again. You want to refine me into a refined corpse? Dream on. The bald man roared and soared into the sky, wanting to charge out. However, the iron chains danced in the air from all directions and appeared above his head. Dang! Dang! The bald man continued to attack the iron chains, but it was to no avail. Hee hee, in my 10,000 corpse ritual array, even a 3rd-grade Martial King Realm martial artist would not be able to charge out, let alone a 1st-grade Martial King Realm martial artist like you. Be obedient and become my refined corpse. That voice sneered. Whoosh whoosh, as soon as the voice finished speaking, gusts of wind seemed to blow in the deep pit. At the same time, waves of grey fog filled the air. Oh no, it's corpse chi. The bald man's expression changed drastically. Don't make any useless resistance. Under my corpse chi, become a refined corpse. That voice laughed loudly. The dense corpse chi immediately enveloped the bald man and Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned and circulated his true origin to cover his entire body, blocking the corpse chi in the surroundings. However, sizzle sizzle, when the corpse chi came into contact with the true origin, it actually started to corrode the true origin quickly. On the other side, the bald man roared. Apparently, he was facing the same result. I told you, it's useless. This is the corpse chi condensed by the 10,000 corpse ritual array. It can corrode true origin. You can't resist it at all, haha. That voice sounded again. Damn it, Lu Ming, it's all your fault, it's all your fault. The bald man roared again and again. He was scared to death. If Lu Ming hadn't dragged him down, he wouldn't have been in such a desperate situation. Lu Ming didn't bother to pay attention to him. He circulated his true origin with all his might, and at the same time, controlled the Nine Dragons' bloodline to erupt with the devouring power. Whoosh whoosh. The corpse chi around Lu Ming was indeed devoured by the devouring power of the Nine Dragons' bloodline. It had no effect on Lu Ming at all. Of course, Lu Ming used it very secretly, and no one else noticed. Immediately, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and began to circulate his chi to heal his injuries. However, in the eyes of others, he was circulating his chi to resist the corpse chi. Damn it, damn it. The bald man kept roaring. He also sat down cross-legged and circulated his chi to resist. Crack crack, Lu Ming's body made a slight sound as he moved to recover. With Lu Ming's current physical strength, his recovery ability was simply terrifying. Coupled with the true dragon battle art, Lu Ming's recovery ability had reached an abnormal level. In just an hour, Lu Ming's injuries were healed. Swoosh! Lu Ming opened his eyes, stood up, and strode toward the bald man. Just now, he was only trying to heal his injuries. He didn't think of letting the bald man go. Chapter 473. What am I doing? Of course, I'm going to kill you. Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Kill me? You're still thinking about killing me at this time. Now, we should work together and find a way to get out. The bald man shouted. In just an hour, the bald man's aura had weakened a lot. A layer of gray corpse chi appeared on his face. No need. I'll find a way out after I kill you. Lu Ming sneered and strode toward the bald man. The bald man's face was covered in cold sweat as he retreated. Hee, a cold voice came from all around as if it was watching a good show. Lu Ming, you're also corroded by corpse chi. I don't believe you can kill me. If you fight me now, you'll only speed up the corpse chi's corrosion. You're digging your own grave. The bald man shouted. You don't have to worry about that. Lu Ming sneered. He clenched his hand and a long spear appeared. Buzz! The long spear shook and 3 different wills burst out. A terrifying spear light blasted toward the bald man. The bald man roared. His battle saber appeared and he fought with Lu Ming. However, he had been corroded by corpse chi and was greatly weakened. How could he be Lu Ming's opponent? In just a few moves, he was forced to retreat and spit out a mouthful of blood. How can you be fine? The bald man shouted in disbelief. He discovered that Lu Ming's combat ability was still at its peak and nothing had happened to him. Roar! Lu Ming's long spear pierced out and a tricolor true dragon flew out, colliding with the bald burly man. The bald burly man screamed miserably, spurting blood from his mouth. His body flew far away and fell to the ground. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of the bald man. No, don't kill me. Please spare me. The bald man shouted in horror. At this time, he was seriously injured and could not resist. When you attacked me just now, did you think about sparing me? Lu Ming sneered. His eyes were as sharp as lightning. The bald man was stunned and his face kept changing. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. How could he spare Lu Ming? Now, I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming said. No, no, don't kill me, don't kill me. Lu Ming, I've worked so hard to reach the martial emperor realm. I don't want to die like this. The bald man shouted. Martial emperor. However, Lu Ming's gaze was cold and unmoved. Also, I'm one of Palace Master Lei's men. If you kill me, Palace Master Lei will definitely not let you off. Seeing that the soft approach didn't work, the bald man decided to use the hard approach. Lu Ming said coldly. You're dreaming. Let me tell you, the Sacred Clan is behind the Sacred Clan, one of the two great clans of the Tianxian domain. The bald man shouted. You talk too much. Boom. Lu Ming shouted and took a step forward. This step contained the power of the 9 dragons' heaven stomping steps. Crackle, crackle. Crack. Crack. The bald man's bones were broken and he lay on the ground like a pile of mud. I won't kill you. I'll let you slowly feel yourself turning into a refined corpse. Lu Ming sneered. No, Lu Ming, you'll die a horrible death. You won't be able to escape after I turn into a refined corpse. You won't be able to escape either. You'll become a refined corpse sooner or later. Ha ha ha. Seeing that there was no hope, the bald man laughed wildly. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He looked up. Whoosh! His body suddenly soared into the sky and he thrust his spear at the top of his head. A tricolor true dragon flew out. Whoosh! Whoosh! Immediately, iron chains appeared in all directions, covering the sky and the sun. The iron chains lashed down on the tricolor dragon. There were too many iron chains, more than a few hundred of them. In just 2 breaths, the tricolor dragon collapsed and turned into nothingness. Lu Ming couldn't break out at all. He landed on the ground. Ha ha ha, it's useless. Lu Ming, you're dead meat too. The bald man laughed. Hee hee, you'll all become my refined corpses. That gloomy and cold laughter sounded again. Lu Ming frowned and sat down cross-legged to think of a solution. With my current strength, I can't break out of this 10,000 corpse array. What should I do? What should I do? Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of anxiety. He wasn't anxious because of his own safety. The corpse aura in the surroundings couldn't do anything to him. He just needed to wait a few days. Perhaps the experts of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace would come to save him. However, he couldn't afford to wait for a few days. Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao had already gone to the Blazing Sun Empire. With Xue Chao's strength as a martial king, the Mystic Essence Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley couldn't compete with him and could only be destroyed. Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao should have arrived at the Blazing Sun Empire long ago. They should be mobilizing their troops and sending a large army to besiege the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Lu Ming didn't have much time left. That was why he was anxious. If the Mystic Essence Sword sect was destroyed and something happened to his parents, he would regret it for the rest of his life. How can I break out of this 10,000 corpse array? If I can break through to the Martial King realm now, I might be able to break out. Lu Ming's mind was racing. Martial King, Martial King. It was easier said than done to break through to the Martial King realm. During this period, Lu Ming's thunder will had improved the fastest. However, he was still a distance away from condensing the intent rune. It would be difficult to condense the intent rune in a short period of time. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then, a trace of madness flashed across his eyes. Now, I can only take a risk. Lu Ming immediately focused his mind. In the next moment, his consciousness appeared in his mind. Looking at the huge lightning cauldron in front of him, the madness in Lu Ming's eyes intensified. Previously, he didn't dare to get too close to the lightning cauldron. He was afraid that the lightning on the lightning cauldron would destroy his mind and soul. But now, Lu Ming decided to take a risk. He wanted to use the lightning energy on the lightning cauldron to speed up his comprehension of the thunder will and break through to the martial king realm. Step. Lu Ming took a step forward and walked towards the lightning cauldron. Step by step, Lu Ming walked faster and faster. He quickly approached the lightning cauldron. Sizzle, lightning flickered on the lightning cauldron. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's manifested mind was trembling violently. However, the closer he got to the lightning cauldron, the clearer the thunder will became. Lu Ming felt that his comprehension of the thunder will was speeding up. Not enough. It's still not enough. I'm still far from it. Lu Ming's consciousness got closer to the lightning cauldron. Finally, Lu Ming was only a few meters away from the lightning cauldron. At this point, Lu Ming's consciousness started to tremble violently. It felt like it would dissipate at any moment. I'll go all out. Success or failure depends on this. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with madness and viciousness. In the next moment, he suddenly took a step forward and charged forward. Then, he threw a palm strike at the lightning cauldron. Bang! When the palm strike landed on the lightning cauldron, an unimaginably horrifying thunder will burst out and drowned Lu Ming's consciousness. Chapter 474. Lu Ming's vision went black and he lost consciousness. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming finally regained some consciousness. However, he did not know where he was. It was as if he was floating in an endless void. At the same time, he felt numb and itchy all over his body. It was as if there was an endless electric current flowing through his body. Where am I? Lu Ming tried to open his eyes but found that it was pitch black and he could not see anything. However, he could feel that there was an endless intent realm around him. Thunder intent realm. What a strong thunder intent realm. I feel that I have become one with the thunder intent realm. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he immediately tried his best to comprehend the thunder intent realm. His comprehension of the thunder intent realm improved by leaps and bounds. It could only be described as terrifying. It was unknown how much time had passed, but his comprehension of the concept of thunder had become several times stronger than before. Lu Ming felt that he had reached a limit. The next step was to condense intent realm runes. Buzz! At this moment, the world shook and Lu Ming felt his vision blur. In the next moment, he saw that he was in mid-air and a palm had hit the thunder cauldron. Clang! The thunder cauldron shook slightly and a strong force surged out. Lu Ming's body could not help but fly backward. Step! Step! Lu Ming took a dozen steps back before he could stabilize himself. What's going on? Could it be that everything I've experienced before was just an instant? Lu Ming thought in shock. That action was the action he took when he hit the thunder cauldron. If that was the case, it would be extremely shocking. Let's go out and take a look. With a thought, Lu Ming left the sea of consciousness and looked at the bald man. The bald man hadn't died yet. He was still screaming miserably as the corpse chi continued to corrode his body. It seems that not much time has passed. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief, feeling more at ease. He was afraid that too much time had passed and he could not rush back to the Burning Sun Empire. Amazing! That lightning cauldron is really amazing. In just an instant, my thunder intent has increased by several times. However, such a thing can only happen once. It was too dangerous just now. Previously, Lu Ming had really thought that his soul had dissipated. Fortunately, for some unknown reason, he had managed to pull through in the end. However, even if he could survive this time, he might not be able to do so the next time. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lu Ming would not use this method to comprehend the concept of thunder. If things went wrong, his soul might really scatter. That would be an injustice. Now, can I start condensing the concept of lightning? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. It was the pure aura of the concept of thunder. Of course, it was only an instant before the aura of lightning concept was completely restrained. Condense. Lu Ming let out a low growl. Wang. Through Lu Ming's 3 divine veins, the concept of thunder seemed to connect with the great Tao of heaven and earth. In the vast great Tao of heaven and earth, there was a great Tao of thunder that resonated with Lu Ming. Strands of concept appeared in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. Then, these strands of concept started to gather together. Soon, these strands of concept gathered together and gradually formed a rune. It was the concept of thunder rune. Not far away, the bald man was dumbfounded. He shouted in disbelief, condensing the concept rune and breaking through to the Martial King realm. He is about to break through to the Martial King realm. He could not believe what he had just seen. Previously, although Lu Ming's combat strength was extremely strong, it was mostly due to the fusion of 3 concepts and a powerful Tian rank martial skill. A single concept was not very strong. The strongest concept of thunder was still a long way from condensing the concept of thunder rune. However, in just a few minutes, Lu Ming's concept of thunder could actually condense the concept of thunder rune. This was simply unbelievable. Cheating, you're cheating. The bald man screamed. Under such circumstances, the bald man could only use the word cheating to describe it. Damn it, you're trying to break through to the Martial Emperor realm at this time. Damn it. The icy voice could be heard once again. However, this time, it was filled with panic. Die! The icy voice screamed. Over 100 iron chains were whipped toward Lu Ming from all directions. Rumble. However, at that instant, the wind and clouds in the sky changed rapidly. Dark clouds gathered together, accompanied by flashes of lightning and roars of thunder. An unimaginably strong aura spread across the place. This suppression was the suppression of the heavens. The heavenly tribulation was necessary to break through to the Martial Emperor realm and condense the concept of thunder rune. Bring it on! Lu Ming suddenly rose from the ground. His concept of thunder was unleashed, which was extremely strong. He ignored the 100 iron chains that were whipping toward him. Rumble. Crack. In the next instant, the heavens and earth were lit up. Over 10 lightning bolts as thick as an arm descended from the sky and struck toward Lu Ming. Along the way, the iron chains were shattered into pieces by the lightning bolts. H! The cold voice shrieked. Bring it on! Lu Ming let out a roar. At that instant, an inch-long rune appeared above his head, shining brightly. Bang! Bang! Over 10 lightning bolts struck the concept of thunder rune above Lu Ming's head. The concept of thunder rune vibrated continuously, as if it was going to collapse at any time. Luckily, when the lightning bolts disappeared, the concept of thunder rune did not dissipate. Instead, it became even brighter and more solid. At the same time, Lu Ming felt his body going numb. A portion of the force of the tribulation flowed through his body through the concept of thunder rune, tempering his flesh and chi. Although the tribulation of thunder rune was dangerous when breaking through to the Martial Emperor realm, as long as one could survive it, the benefits would be great. Rumble. In the sky, the dark clouds continued to churn and the rumbling grew louder. It seemed that Lu Ming had managed to withstand a round of attacks and that had angered it. Dark clouds rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled, as if an even stronger lightning tribulation was brewing. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He moved and rushed to the side. Around him, he could faintly see figures. Those should be refined corpses. Lu Ming's body rushed over, and the tribulation cloud above his head moved with Lu Ming. The range of the dark cloud also enveloped the refined corpses. Ah, boy, what are you doing? Get out of my way! Get out of my way! That gloomy voice screamed in panic. Chirp chirp chirp, I'll let you have a taste of the lightning tribulation. Lu Ming sneered. The tribulation was a very magical moment. Any living being that was enveloped by the lightning tribulation would be struck by the lightning tribulation. Moreover, the stronger the living being was, the stronger the power of the lightning tribulation would be. However, the lightning tribulation that struck the person undergoing the tribulation was the same. It would not change. Therefore, when others were undergoing the tribulation, it was difficult for others to interfere. No matter how strong one's cultivation was, or how high one's martial Tao realm was, they would not dare to help others. Because that would only bring trouble to themselves. Therefore, one could only rely on themselves to pass the tribulation. Sizzle, at this moment, more than 10 lightning bolts struck down from the sky. Chapter 475. Half of the lightning struck toward Lu Ming, while the other half struck toward the refined corpses. Lu Ming controlled the intent runes and tried his best to resist. After dozens of booming sounds, Lu Ming successfully blocked this wave of thunder bombardment. The rune of thunder concept became even more sparkling and translucent. However, the refined corpses were much more miserable. Refined corpses were originally evil creatures. They were most afraid of lightning and fire, which were the most yang energy. Furthermore, the lightning calamity was their nemesis. After a wave of lightning calamity, at least 20 refined corpses were turned into charcoal. When the cold wind blew, they turned into dust and dissipated. Damn it, little bastard. There are only 3 waves of lightning calamity. Once the 3 waves are over, I will tear you into pieces. That cold and gloomy voice roared, filled with heartache. Obviously, those refined corpses were the corpses of the martial ancestor realm experts that they had killed from the illusory sword sect and the other 2 sections. He had set up the 10,000 corpse array to refine a powerful refined corpse. But now, more than 20 refined corpses had been destroyed. The 10,000 corpse array had been broken. His heart was bleeding. Is that so? Then let's continue. Lu Ming moved and rushed to the other side. There was also a pile of refined corpses here. The voice roared again and again, but there was nothing he could do. Rumble. Dozens of lightning strikes struck again. This time, the power of the lightning was stronger than the previous one. Half of it struck Lu Ming, and the other half struck the refined corpses. Block it! Lu Ming roared. He did not block the lightning, but used all his strength to control the intent runes. Boom! Boom! Dazzling bolts of lightning constantly struck the concept rune. Every time they struck, the concept rune would tremble, as if it were about to collapse. But in the next moment, it withstood the attacks and became even more solid. After the lightning passed, the intent runes did not dissipate. They were crystal clear and had the color of purple jade. On the side, dozens of refined corpses were turned into charcoal. Little bastard, the 3 waves of lightning have passed. Go to hell. That cold and gloomy voice sounded. At the same time, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. One by one, the refined corpses pounced on Lu Ming. Among the refined corpses, Lu Ming saw a youth in a black robe. The youth looked to be in his mid-20s. His face was pale and his eyes were long and narrow, filled with a cold light. Little bastard, I will refine you into my corpse and make you my puppet and fight for me for the rest of your life. The youth said coldly. Is that so? I'm afraid you won't get the chance. There was an inexplicable smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. He moved his feet and dashed toward the black-robed young man and the pile of refined corpses. Rumble. Above Lu Ming's head, lightning flashed and thunder roared. A terrifying pressure spread and seemed to be stronger than before. What? What is going on? Why is your lightning tribulation still not over after 3 rounds? No, retreat now. The black-robed young man's expression changed drastically. He screamed as he backed away frantically. However, it was too late for the refined corpses to retreat. Rumble. Another dozen bolts of lightning struck down from the sky. This time, the power was even stronger. Lu Ming's eyes were bright and firm. He did not block the lightning and let the intent runes block it. The intent runes trembled like candles in the wind. They seemed like they would be extinguished at any moment, but they held on. The intent runes have grown longer. After the lightning, Lu Ming was surprised to find that the lightning intent runes had grown longer. At first, it was only an inch, but now it had grown by a little. Normally, the newly formed intent runes were level 1 intent runes. Level 1 intent runes were divided into beginner, small success, great success, and perfection. Normally, Martial King Realm martial artists would comprehend level 1 intent runes. Coincidentally, the 4 levels corresponded to the 4 levels of Martial King Realm. Normally, low-level martial kings would comprehend level 1 intent runes. Their intent runes would be 1 inch longer. Small success martial kings would comprehend level 1 intent runes. Their intent runes would be 2 inches longer. So on and so forth. If a Martial King Realm martial artist wanted to break through, they had to break through their intent first before their cultivation could break through. Now, Lu Ming had not completely broken through to Martial King Realm, but his intent runes were already more than 1 inch long. This was extremely rare. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This was a good thing. Lu Ming was overjoyed, but the black-robed youth was roaring in anger. The previous wave of lightning had turned a large number of refined corpses into charcoal. At a glance, there were at least 50 corpses. The main reason was that the refined corpses were too concentrated. They were all wiped out. My refined corpses! The black-robed youth screamed. His heart was bleeding. Don't worry, there's more. Continue. Lu Ming laughed and rushed toward the other refined corpses. In the sky, there was actually another wave of lightning striking down. The 5th wave. Normally, when a martial artist broke through to Martial King Realm, there would only be 3 waves of lightning tribulation. But now, Lu Ming's lightning tribulation had a 5th wave. The black-robed youth wanted to cry. Crackle. Another wave of lightning struck, turning a large number of refined corpses into charcoal. However, Lu Ming managed to survive it. His intent runes grew slightly longer, approaching 2 inches long. You pervert, you monster! The black-robed youth roared. He was extremely furious. His cultivation had reached the 3rd layer Martial Emperor realm, making him extremely powerful. Under normal circumstances, he was confident that he could kill Lu Ming with a single slap. However, he did not dare to do so under the circumstances. He was afraid that if he were to attack, the lightning tribulation would envelop him and drag him into it. He roared in his heart. Once Lu Ming was done with the tribulation, he would have 100 evil ways to deal with Lu Ming. Scolding me? Come at me together. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he dashed toward the black-robed youth. Little bastard, what are you doing? The black-robed youth was shocked and quickly backed off. 9 dragons stomping the heavens. Lu Ming executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and took 2 steps forward, causing his figure to disappear. In the next instant, he appeared not far away from the black-robed youth. Meanwhile, the tribulation cloud appeared above Lu Ming's head in the blink of an eye. This time, the black-robed youth was encapsulated within it. No, no, no! The black-robed youth's expression changed tremendously as he let out a crazy scream. Rumble! The only response he received was a sky full of lightning. This time, there were more than 100 lightning strikes striking down. Most of them were aimed at the black-robed youth. Furthermore, each of the lightning strikes was more than 10 times stronger than the ones aimed at Lu Ming. H! The black-robed youth yelled in a frenzy as he tried his best to defend himself. However, as the lightning strikes struck downward, the black-robed youth's head was badly damaged, causing his body to emit a gray mist. The mist was the corpse chi, which was emitted by the lightning strikes. The black-robed youth spat out mouthfuls of blood as he let out cries of agony. Block it! This time, Lu Ming did not rely on his intent runes to block the lightning strikes. He held the spear in his hand and leapt into the air, blocking half of the lightning strikes. Bang! Bang! Chapter 476. In the end, the 6th wave of lightning passed. However, the dark clouds in the sky had yet to dissipate. They seemed to be extremely furious and were surging crazily as if they were going to exert all their strength to destroy the two ants below. No, no, how can this be? Why isn't it over yet? You can't do this, you can't do this. Seeing this scene, the black-robed youth was scared out of his wits and screamed in horror. However, in the next moment, rumble. Lightning fell. This time, the power of the lightning was several times stronger than before. Lu Ming's eyes were extremely solemn. Boom! In the next moment, both his bloodlines were activated, and the wind and fire concepts were also released. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and continuously attacked the lightning falling from the sky. Boom! Boom! Every time a lightning fell, Lu Ming's body would tremble violently. His muscles and bones trembled as if they were about to be torn apart. And when some lightning struck the runes of the thunder concept, the runes twisted crazily and trembled as if they were about to collapse at any time. Hold on, I must hold on. Lu Ming roared in his heart and tried his best to resist. True Dragon Strike. Lu Ming stabbed out with the long spear, and a three-colored vacuum flew out, but it dissipated after being hit by a few lightning bolts. Then, the lightning bolts struck Lu Ming's body one after another. Puff! Lu Ming coughed up blood as his body fell to the ground, crashing into a big pit. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming rushed out of the pit and continued to resist. Boom! Boom! There were a few more thunderbolts. Cracks appeared on Lu Ming's body and beads of blood seeped out from them continuously. The seventh wave of lightning was too strong. Lu Ming was miserable, but the black-robed youth was even more miserable. He screamed again and again as a large amount of fog emerged from his body. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his body was smoking. His body was almost broken, and there were many charred pits. In the end, his body was almost broken into two, and even his bones and organs could be seen. Those who practiced the evil sect's martial arts were most afraid of lightning. It was much more difficult for them to pass the tribulation compared to other martial artists. At this moment, they were naturally in a miserable state. However, the black-robed youth was indeed powerful. His life force was incomparably exuberant. He was able to pull through like this, but his injuries were incomparably heavy. He had almost died. When the lightning dissipated, he desperately flew into the distance. An incomparably resentful shout echoed between heaven and earth. Little bastard, I swear I won't be a man if I don't get my revenge. The voice disappeared, and the person also went far away. At this moment, the dark clouds in the sky finally dispersed, and the world returned to tranquility. Huff huff, Lu Ming let out a few long breaths. The lightning tribulation, the further it went, the stronger it became. By the seventh round, Lu Ming was already on the verge of being unable to withstand it. Everyone else has 3 wheels, but I actually have 7. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. However, the benefits were self-evident. Lu Ming's intent runes shone brilliantly like sparkling purple jade. Most importantly, his intent runes were actually 2 inches long. This was already a level 1 intent rune that had reached the lesser success stage. An ordinary lesser success stage king's intent realm cultivation was only at this level. He had just passed the lightning tribulation, but his intent had already reached the lesser success stage. If others saw this, they would be scared to death. Not far away, there was indeed a person. It was the bald man. At this moment, he was still alive. He looked at Lu Ming in disbelief and screamed in horror, "How is this possible? How is this possible?" He had cultivated for dozens of years, but his intent runes were only 2 inches long. Compared to Lu Ming, it was like heaven and earth. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He sat cross-legged and circulated the true dragon battle art with all his might. At this moment, it was the final crucial stone inscription. After being tempered by the lightning, the true qi in Lu Ming's body had completely transformed into true yuan. It was a 100% transformation. At the same time, the vortex in his dantian spun crazily. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth frantically gathered towards Lu Ming. However, this amount of spiritual qi was far from enough. Lu Ming waved his hand, and piles of supreme-grade spiritual crystals appeared around him. Explode! Lu Ming's arm shook. Suddenly, bam! Bam! At least 20,000 pieces of the supreme spiritual crystals exploded, and an endless amount of spiritual qi gushed out. The Nine Dragons' bloodline opened its mouth and sucked in the surging spiritual qi of heaven and earth. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth continuously transformed into true yuan. The true yuan in Lu Ming's body began to increase crazily and became stronger. Now, although Lu Ming had broken through, the amount of true yuan in his body had not caught up. Now, he had to replenish the amount of true yuan. Moreover, Lu Ming cultivated the true dragon battle art and had already reached the 9th level. His true yuan was extremely strong, and the amount of spiritual qi he needed was too much. The 20,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals were quickly consumed. Lu Ming took out another 20,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. He continued to devour and refine them crazily. The true yuan in Lu Ming's body continued to increase, and the aura he emitted became stronger and stronger. This was the aura of a king. In this way, Lu Ming finished devouring the 20,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals and took out another 20,000. In total, he did this 8 times. In other words, Lu Ming had devoured a total of 160,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. What kind of terrifying number was this? Not far away, the bald burly man was almost scared to death. His eyes were in a daze as he looked at Lu Ming. He kept muttering to himself, "Demon, this is a demon. I shouldn't have listened to Palace Master Thunder's bewitchment and dealt with such a demon. Palace Master Thunder, if you don't kill him now, you will die sooner or later." The bald man laughed loudly. After a while, his aura rapidly weakened and he died just like that. At this moment, Lu Ming stood up. His eyes flickered with excitement. "Martial King, is this the Martial King realm? Too strong. The difference between a half-step Martial King and a Martial King is like heaven and earth. No wonder people say that those below the Martial King realm are ants." Lu Ming felt the boundless true yuan in his body and sighed. Now, his true yuan was 10 times stronger than before. Furthermore, it was 100% pure. When he circulated it, there was no difficulty at all. "My physical body has also reached the peak of grade 6. Lu Ming discovered that after experiencing the tempering of the thunder tribulation, his physical body was one step closer to the peak of grade 6. He was only one step away from attaining grade 7. The most important thing is the state. Lu Ming carefully sensed and discovered a 2-inch-long state talisman quietly floating in his sea of consciousness. Lu Ming stretched out his palm and grabbed the air. Instantly, the power of the thunderbolt in the universe gathered crazily in Lu Ming's palm. In the blink of an eye, a long spear that was completely condensed by thunderbolts appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Sizzle, thunder flickered and there was a burnt smell in the air. Even the air was burnt by the power of thunder. Shwa! Lu Ming waved his hand and the thunder spear turned into a bolt of lightning and flew into the sky. In the blink of an eye, it flew out of the deep pit and into the clouds before exploding. Rumble! In the sky, thunder and lightning filled the sky. Grade 1 small success Thunder Realm. How strong, how strong! Chapter 477. The lesser success stage of a first-level intent was the intent of the lesser success stage of the Martial Emperor realm. However, Lu Ming had already mastered it. Just how strong is my current combat strength? It shouldn't be a problem for me to defeat a second-layer Martial Emperor realm cultivator. Lu Ming pondered. The difference between each layer of the Martial Emperor realm was extremely huge. It was extremely difficult to defeat someone with a higher level. Furthermore, those who were able to break through to the Martial Emperor realm were usually battled 3 geniuses. In other words, any Martial Emperor realm cultivator would be a battle 3 geniuses at the Martial Ancestor realm. Those Battle 4 geniuses or even Battle 5 geniuses at the Martial Ancestor realm would not be able to defeat someone with a higher level after breaking through to the Martial Emperor realm. At most, they would be the best among their peers. Those who were able to defeat someone with a higher level after breaking through to the Martial Emperor realm were definitely rare geniuses. Lu Ming was currently at the early first layer Martial Emperor realm. With the help of the true Battle Dragon technique, the combination of 3 intense, and the 3 unique skills of the Dragon God, he was confident that he could defeat, or even kill, a peak second layer Martial Emperor realm cultivator. Together with the Thunder Intent of Lesser Success stage, Lu Ming's strength would be even more terrifying. Third layer Martial Emperor realm cultivators, I should be able to defeat them, right? Lu Ming mumbled. After all, the Martial Emperor realm was too unfamiliar to Lu Ming. Without fighting them, Lu Ming would not be able to tell. If I were to combine the Wind and Fire Intents into Intent runes, my strength would be truly strong. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. However, combining the Wind and Fire Intents into Intent runes was not something that could be done in a short period of time. He had to do it step by step. Shush! In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared before the bald man. With a wave of his hand, he kept the storage ring of the bald man. At the same time, a powerful devouring force burst out and devoured the blood essence of the bald man. Qiu Chongkong, Shui Chao, just you wait. This time, I swear I'm not a human if I don't kill you. With a deep roar, Lu Ming's figure sprang into the sky and turned into a ray of light, rushing toward the Cloud Emperor mountain range and the blazing Sun Empire. As he hurried along, he refined the bald man's blood essence. He didn't absorb the energy of the blood essence and transform it into true essence. Instead, he used all the power of the blood essence to enhance his bloodline. The blood essence of a peak first-layer Martial King realm martial artist was extremely rich. The 9 Dragons bloodline was being refined crazily. His entire body was glowing with a bloody light. His 5 silver chakras were flickering with a dazzling silver light. Wang! After a while, another chakra appeared on the 9 Dragons bloodline. The 6th silver chakra. 6th level King grade bloodline. The 6th chakra of the 9 Dragons bloodline was pale silver at the beginning. Gradually, its color deepened and finally turned dark silver like the other 5 chakras. Only then did the bald man's blood essence run out. The blood essence of a bald man was enough to raise Lu Ming's bloodline by an entire level. If a few more of them come, won't my bloodline rise to the 7th or 8th level of the King realm? Lu Ming thought excitedly, then shook his head. The higher one's bloodline was, the harder it was to raise it. Especially from the 6th level to the 7th level of the King grade bloodline. There were many people with the 6th level of the King grade bloodline, but very few people with the 7th level of the King grade bloodline. Quick, quick! Lu Ming hurried on with all his might. However, he didn't use the 9 Dragon sky-stomping steps because it would consume too much of his true essence. Even so, Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. Endless mountains and rivers passed under Lu Ming. Lu Ming flew across the sky like a bolt of lightning. A few martial grandmasters were flying in the sky when they suddenly felt a bolt of lightning flashing over their heads. What followed was a series of sonic booms. Then, a violent gust of wind blew over, almost blowing the martial grandmasters away. So powerful! What was that? Just by flying, it caused such a terrifying power. A younger martial grandmaster's face changed greatly. A king-grade bloodline. It must be a king-grade bloodline. And it's not an ordinary one. It's too powerful, a white-haired elder said in a deep voice. The few of them gasped. They looked in the direction that Lu Ming flew past with some respect and awe. Thousands of miles of land passed under Lu Ming's body as he hurried towards the blazing Sun Empire. However, this place was too far away from the blazing Sun Empire. Even with Lu Ming's current speed, it would take at least 5 days. In the meeting hall of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect in the blazing Sun Empire, the upper echelons of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, the upper echelons of the Crimson Cloud Valley, and Hua Qi were all seated. However, the atmosphere was extremely solemn. This was because a few days ago, the Decimo Sword Sect suddenly sent out an army and launched a fierce attack on the territory of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley. For a time, the allied forces of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, Hua Qi, and the Crimson Cloud Valley were defeated. They couldn't resist at all. The experts of the various forces also suffered heavy casualties. They had no choice but to withdraw their forces and retreat continuously. In these few days, the Decimo Sword Sect's army was almost at the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Now, the Crimson Cloud Valley had completely abandoned their sect and joined the Mystic Essence Sword Sect to defend against the Decimo Sword Sect's attack. How did this happen? Why did the Decimo Sword Sect's army suddenly become so strong? The Crimson Cloud Valley Master, Ling Padian, slammed the table and roared. Most importantly, the Decimo Sword Sect's army has an additional army of 100,000 people. It's too strong. Even the Crimson Blood Scale Wolf army couldn't resist it. Hua Qi said with a solemn expression. It's said that the army is wearing armor with a sun embroidered on it. It's confirmed that they are the Sun Army from the Blood Zhao Empire's Great Sun Palace. Lin Shui sighed and said. The moment she said that, the atmosphere became even more solemn. It's really the Sun Army from the Great Sun Palace. But why would the Great Sun Palace send troops to help the Decimo Sword Sect? Ling Padian shouted. The only person who can make the Great Sun Palace send troops to help the Decimo Sword Sect is probably Cho Changkong. He came with the identity of the Di Tian Divine Guard, so the Great Sun Palace had to give him face. Lin Shui's frown deepened. Cho Changkong, how dare he? Isn't he afraid that Lu Ming? Speaking up to hear, Ling Padian stopped as a bad feeling flashed across his eyes. The others felt the same. If Cho Changkong dared to make a move, did something happen to Lu Ming? It can't be. Brother Lu is a genius. How could something happen to him so easily? Hua Qi shook his head in disbelief. However, the atmosphere was still solemn. Although they didn't want to believe it, it was a fact that Cho Changkong led the army to attack. No matter what, we have to hold on. Lin Shui gritted her teeth and said. At this moment, a figure ran in anxiously and shouted, not good. Sect Master, the Decimo Sword Sect's Sect Master, Cho Wuyang, led an elite army and is outside the sect. What? So fast? Everyone in the main hall was shocked. Gather everyone and fight the enemy with me. Chapter 478. When they arrived at the Mystic Essence Sword Sect's mountain gate, they saw that outside the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, there was an army as far as the eye could see. The army was divided into two groups. One of them was clad in golden armor, and they were riding golden lions that looked like little golden suns. There were at least 100,000 soldiers. The Sun Legion was the Sun Legion of the Great Sun Palace. On the other side of the Sun Legion was a legion wearing blue battle armor. This legion was the most elite of the 10 Direction Sword Sect, and there were about 100,000 of them. The two legions added up to 200,000, and their aura was so powerful that it made many disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect break out in cold sweat. It was with these two elite legions that the Decimo Sword Sect broke through and unexpectedly arrived before the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Shua! When Lin Shui and the others came out, a figure charged out from the 10 Direction Sword Sect's army and stood in the air with a powerful aura. It was Cho Wuyang, the sect master of the 10 Direction Sword Sect. Lin Shui, you're already at the end of the road. Surrender now, and perhaps we can spare your life. Cho Wuyang stood with his hands behind his back and looked at Lin Shui with disdain. Shua! Lin Shui took a step forward and also floated in the air, facing Cho Wuyang. Cho Wuyang, you've only borrowed external power. It's not much. Lin Shui said coldly. Haha, Lin Shui, you're too naive. The winner takes all. You still don't understand this principle. No wonder you lost. Cho Wuyang laughed complacently. Lin Shui didn't look at him, and instead looked at the Sun Legion. She cupped her fists and said, "Everyone from the Great Sun Palace, my Mystic Essence Sword sect has never offended the Great Sun Palace. Why did you send an army to surround us? Haha, never offended our Great Sun Palace? What a joke." 3 figures flew out from the Sun Legion. Each of them wore golden battle armor and had a powerful aura. These 3 were all half-step kings. The one in the middle was a burly man who was more than 2 meters tall. He was the one who had just spoken. He looked at Lin Shui coldly and said, "Your Mystic Essence Sword sect has a grudge with my Great Sun Palace for a long time. You just don't know about it." The old grudge he was talking about was the matter between Lu Ming and Yang Liuji. Lin Shui naturally didn't know about it and was stunned. The burly man sneered and continued, "Moreover, even if there were no old grudges, all of you should still be destroyed. Who asked you to offend the genius of the D Tian Divine Guards?" "D Tian Divine Guard, it is indeed the D Tian Divine Guard. Qiu Changkong, is it you?" At this moment, Ling Padian flew up to the sky and stood beside Lin Shui. "Haha, that's me." At that moment, a figure flew out from the army of the Decimo Sword faction. It was Qiu Changkong. Qiu Changkong's eyes were cold as he laughed. "Lin Shui, Ling Padian, the Burning Sun Empire should be unified. You are so stubborn, you are digging your own graves. Qiu Changkong, as the Empyrean Divine Guard, you actually used your personal authority to mobilize the armies of other empires and start a war. You have violated the rules of the Empyrean Divine Palace. If this matter is investigated, you will not be able to escape punishment." Lin Shui said. "Investigate? What a joke. With just the 2 of you. Even if you report me to the Empyrean Divine Palace, who would listen to you? Who would investigate a genius like me, the Empyrean Divine Guard, just because of ants from a small empire? What a joke." Qiu Changkong laughed without any fear. "Damn it." Lin Shui, Ling Padian, and the others gritted their teeth as their anger soared. However, they felt helpless in their hearts. They understood that Qiu Changkong was right. They were just a few half-step kings from small empires. In the eyes of the Empyrean Divine Palace, they had no weight at all. Even if they reported, no one would care about them. "Qiu Changkong, don't be arrogant. Lu Ming is an Eastern Sky Divine Guard. If he knows about this matter, he will definitely not let this matter rest." Hua Qi shouted from the mountain peak of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. "Lu Ming, I advise you not to expect anything from Lu Ming. He is probably already dead." Qiu Changkong sneered. "Impossible. Qiu Changkong, you are bullshitting. How could anything happen to Lu Ming? You are still alive, so how could Lu Ming die?" Hua Qi shouted. "Hua Qi!" Qiu Changkong roared as a cold killing intent burst out from his body. His body emitted a mountain-like aura that was extremely terrifying. "Half-step king, you have reached the half-step king realm?" Lin Shui shouted in disbelief. At this moment, the aura that Qiu Changkong emitted was indeed the aura of a half-step king. It seemed like Qiu Changkong's cultivation had also improved greatly during this period of time. His cultivation had reached the peak of martial ancestor realm and he had comprehended a trace of thunder intent. He was indeed in the half-step king realm. Ling Padian, Hua Qi, Shangguan Ming, Yen Quan, and the others' faces turned ugly. In such a short period of time, Qiu Changkong's cultivation had already reached the half-step king realm. It was terrifying. Qiu Changkong sneered, looking at Lin Shui and the others as if he was looking at ants. In the end, he looked at Hua Qi and shouted coldly, "Hua Qi, how dare you? I'm a D Tian Divine Guard. You're just a prince of a fallen empire, how dare you scold me? You're simply courting death. Now, I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and kowtow to me in front of everyone. I will spare your life. A warrior prefers death to humiliation. Qiu Changkong, kill me if you dare. You want me to kneel down and apologize? Impossible." Hua Qi shouted coldly, not giving Qiu Changkong any face. You are courting death. Qiu Changkong's gaze turned cold as his palm slashed out like a sword. Shoo! A lightning sword instantly crossed the void and slashed towards Hua Qi. It was fast, indescribably fast. Lin Shui, Ling Patian, and the others wanted to help, but it was too late. Eighth Prince, be careful. Beside Hua Qi, an aged figure suddenly rushed out. His body emitted a vast aura as he slashed out a saber light. However, the blade light was shattered like tofu by Qiu Changkong's sword light. Poof! Blood spurted out as the old figure was split into two by Qiu Changkong's sword light. Imperial Grandfather! Hua Qi let out an earth-shattering roar. The person who stood in front of Hua Qi was the last imperial uncle of the imperial family. He was the last martial ancestor realm 9th realm expert, and he had died just like that. The imperial uncle had been standing beside Hua Qi, and that was why he was able to save Hua Qi's life in time. Ah, Qiu Changkong, I will fight you to the death. Hua Qi's eyes were red as he stared at Qiu Changkong. You? You're just an ant. You want to fight to the death with me? Die! Qiu Changkong shouted coldly as he slashed out another blade light. Clang! This time, Lin Shui was prepared. Her aura surged as she slashed out a blade light towards Qiu Changkong's blade light. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion and a figure was forced to retreat. It was Lin Shui. At that moment, her body was trembling. The crowd saw a deep wound on Lin Shui's chest that was bleeding profusely. Hiss, the sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard. Chapter 479. Lin Shui, the sect leader of the Mystic Essence Sword sect and a half-step king, was injured by Qiu Changkong in one move. Moreover, Qiu Changkong didn't seem to have used his full strength. Qiu Changkong's battle power was too horrifying. Everyone on the Mystic Essence Sword sect side was shocked. Humph! Don't think that you can stop me just because you're a half-step king. Let me tell you, you're just an ant in front of me. Qiu Changkong looked down at Lin Shui from above, looking extremely arrogant. Lin Shui's face turned ugly as she retreated quickly. At the same time, Ling Patian followed behind her and the two retreated back to the sect gate. Activate the sect protection array. Lin Shui yelled. Wang! Wang! As Lin Shui's voice rang out, the Qilin Peak, Azure Dragon Peak, Vermilion Bird Peak, Black Tortoise Peak, and White Tiger Peak of the Mystic Essence Sword sect trembled slightly. Then, an extremely dazzling light as large as a mountain shot out from each of them. The 5 lights converged and formed a huge light screen that covered the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. Within the array, endless sword chi flowed, protecting the Mystic Essence Sword sect. This array had been damaged from the inside by the Duanmu family during the battle of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Now, it had been completely repaired, and its power was even stronger than before. Humph! Stop me! Dream on! Qiu Changkong snorted as his bloodline appeared. At the same time, a battle sword with lightning appeared in his hand. Slash! Qiu Changkong shouted and slashed out with his combat sword. A dazzling thunderbolt sword chi slashed towards the Mystic Essence Sword sect's protective array. Wang! The protective formation of the Mystic Essence Sword sect trembled slightly. In a flash of light, a sword ray as large as a mountain was formed. It flew out and collided with Qiu Changkong's sword chi. With a loud boom, the 2 sword lights disappeared without a trace. Everyone on the Mystic Essence Sword sect let out a sigh of relief. With the sect protection array, it wouldn't be easy for Qiu Changkong to break through. Damn it! Qiu Changkong roared and wanted to continue attacking. Junior brother, let me do it. At this moment, a faint voice sounded. Then, Xueqiao walked out with his hands behind his back and appeared in front of Qiu Changkong. Senior brother. It would be great if you could make a move. Qiu Changkong was overjoyed. Yes. Xueqiao nodded and turned to look at the Mystic Essence Sword sect. His eyes were filled with disdain as he said, it's just a small array. Child's play. Who can it stop? With that, Xuechao took another step forward and appeared above the Mystic Essence Sword sect, overlooking the entire sect. Who is this person? Lin Shui and the others looked worried. Boom! At this moment, Xuechao's aura erupted without the slightest restraint. A mighty and terrifying aura filled the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. As soon as Lin Shui and the other half-step kings sensed this aura, their faces changed drastically and became deathly pale. A king! This is the aura of a king! This is a king! Lin Shui roared in horror. Her eyes were full of shock. How could this be? Even the kings of the Di Tian Divine Guards have been mobilized. Ling Padian also roared. What? Was this a king? Heavens, such a young king. We're finished. We're finished. The Mystic Essence Sword sect was in an uproar. Countless shocked eyes looked at Xuechao in the air. Seeing the expressions of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, Xuechao felt extremely comfortable. He loved the look of awe on her face. Just a small array. Break for me. Xuechao roared and waved his hand. Boundless lightning energy gathered toward Xuechao. 1,000-meter-long lightning sword formed in the air and slashed toward the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Activate the array. Activate the array. Defend with all your might. Lin Shui roared. Wang! The array shook violently. Boundless light gathered and formed a huge sword that slashed toward Xuechao's lightning sword. Boom! This time, however, the giant sword formed by the Mystic Essence Sword sect's great protective array was instantly destroyed. However, the huge lightning sword did not stop there. Instead, it landed heavily on the Mystic Essence Sword sect's protective array. Boom! With an earth-shattering boom, the Mystic Essence Sword sect's grand protective array collapsed. Pang! Pang! 5 consecutive explosions occurred on the Qilin Peak and the other 4 peaks. Smoke and dust filled the air. This was the explosion of the Grand Protective Formation's foundation. The people controlling the Grand Protective Formation were either killed or injured. Countless people on the Mystic Essence Sword sect were dumbfounded as they looked at Xuechao in fear. Heavens! The great sect protecting formation is broken. It was broken in one move. How can he be so strong? Is this the power of a king? Countless people cried out in shock. Lin Shui, Ling Padian, Hua Qi, and the others looked at Xuechao with fear in their eyes. He was too strong. They were like ants in front of such power. Not only them, but even Qiu Wuyang and the experts of the Sun Corps looked at Xuechao with reverence. A king was beyond the scope of ordinary people. Ha ha ha, what kind of array is this? It can't even block one move from my senior brother. Qiu Chongkong laughed. Everyone, listen up. Prepare for battle. Lin Shui roared. At this point, what else could he do? They could only fight. Humph, you want to fight with me? You're not even enough for me to kill. How about this, I'll give you a chance. As long as you surrender, I'll spare your life. How about it? Who wants to surrender? Xuechao sneered as his gaze swept across the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. Some people's eyes flickered. They were obviously tempted. People of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, listen up. We'd rather die than live in dishonor. If we surrender, we'll be cursed for thousands of years. I'd rather die than surrender. Lin Shui roared. People of the Crimson Cloud Valley would also rather die than surrender. Ling Padian also roared. People of the royal family will never surrender. Hua Qi also shouted. Ha, good, very good. Since that's the case, I'll give you a few days to consider. If you want to surrender, you can come and find me. If you don't surrender when the time is up, I'll kill you without mercy. When he said the last sentence, a terrifying killing intent erupted from Xuechao's body and enveloped the entire place. Many people shuddered. Surround the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. Don't let anyone escape. Xue Chao ordered Qiu Wuyang. Yes. Yes. Qiu Wuyang quickly nodded. Then, Xue Chao turned around and came to Qiu Changkong's side. If Lu Ming is still alive, he'll definitely come when he hears the news. We'll give Lu Ming a few days to come here and die. Xue Chao whispered to Qiu Changkong. Senior brother is wise. With master's arrangement, if Lu Ming is still alive and comes here, he'll also die. I really hope that he's still alive and can come here. I'll kill his family and friends in front of him and make him regret offending me. Chapter 480. They had surrounded the Mystic Essence Sword sect but did not kill them because they were waiting for Lu Ming to arrive. Moreover, Xue Chao and Qiu Changkong hated and feared Lu Ming at the same time. They would not be at ease until they confirmed that Lu Ming was dead. Rumble. The Solar Legion and the Decimo Sword Sect's legions spread out and surrounded the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Xue Chao waved his hand and a jade table and a few jade chairs appeared. The table and chairs floated in the air and Xue Chao sat on one of the chairs. Qiu Changkong immediately took out a pot of wine and poured a cup for Xue Chao. He also poured a cup for himself and accompanied Xue Chao as they waited. Lin Shui and the others had ugly expressions on their faces. They're trying to use psychological warfare to force those with weak wills to surrender. They're trying to humiliate us. Hua Qi said in a deep voice. The other party had a martial king expert and could easily crush them. However, they were not doing anything. In their opinion, they were trying to humiliate them. Sigh. Lin Shui sighed. Even if they knew, what could they do? They were not as strong as the other party. Stay at your post and wait for any changes. Lin Shui ordered. He sat cross-legged in front of the mountain gate and stared at Qiu Changkong and the others. Then, Ling Patian, Hua Qi, and the other higher-ups also sat cross-legged in front of the mountain gate. Remember, if you want to live, surrender now. It'll be too late by the time I change my mind. Xue Chao drank his wine and his cold voice spread throughout the Mystic Essence Sword sect. In the Mystic Essence Sword sect, many people had different expressions. Some people were filled with righteous indignation and were ready to die. Some people's eyes flickered and wandered. Time passed slowly and the atmosphere in the Mystic Essence Sword sect became more and more oppressive. I surrender. I choose to surrender. Suddenly, someone ran out from the foot of the mountain and shouted loudly. A middle-aged man ran out frantically. It's a deacon of the White Tiger Institute. Damn it, he's been with the Duanmu family for too long. He's a traitor. A golden-robed elder roared. Ha ha ha, good. We won't kill him if he surrenders. Sect leader Qiu, he'll be part of the Decimo Sword sect from now on. Xue Chao laughed. Yes. Qiu Changkong nodded. I surrender too. I want to surrender too. At this time, more people shouted and ran outside. There were more than 10 people. Traitor, damn traitor. Someone roared. The crowd could tell that these people were originally from the White Tiger Hall. It's good that they're gone. Lin Shui said. Then, everyone fell silent. However, the atmosphere in the Mystic Essence Sword sect became even more oppressive. The first day passed just like that. Apart from the dozen or so people who had surrendered from the White Tiger Hall, no one else surrendered. On the second day, the people's hearts became even more unstable. Some people became more and more anxious. This was like waiting for death. Who could endure it? Although Lin Shui and the others knew, there was nothing they could do. The third day. I surrender. I surrender. On the third day, someone finally shouted and rushed out of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. This time, it wasn't limited to the White Tiger courtyard. People from the other courtyards also began to rush out of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. There were bronze-ranked disciples, silver-ranked disciples, and even elders. Alas! Lin Shui sighed, as if she had aged a lot in an instant. In the blink of an eye, it was the fourth day. On the fourth day, the number of people who surrendered suddenly increased greatly. I surrender. The people who were shouting to surrender were all over the place. There were at least a few thousand people. There were people from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, Crimson Cloud Valley, and the Imperial family. Damn it, traitor, damn traitor. Ling Padian flew into a rage. He wanted to rush out and kill those who surrendered. However, the number of people who surrendered continued to increase. On the fourth day, there were close to 4,000 people who surrendered. On the fifth day, there were fewer people who surrendered, but there were still about 1,000 people who surrendered. On the sixth day, Xueqiao suddenly slammed the table heavily. More than 5 days have passed, and Lu Ming still hasn't come. In my opinion, Lu Ming is already dead. Xueqiao said. Senior brother, why don't we wait a few more days? What if Lu Ming isn't dead? Qiu Changkong said. He was afraid of Lu Ming from the bottom of his heart. Junior brother, what are you afraid of? Let's attack first and take them all down. It won't be too late to wait. Xueqiao said. Then, alright, let's do as senior brother said. Qiu Changkong nodded. Shua! Xueqiao stood up and took a step forward. Bang! At this moment, Lin Shui suddenly stood up, and a powerful aura erupted from her body. Who will fight with me? Me! Ling Padian roared. Me! Me too! Sheng Wanming, Yen Quan, and the other 2 half-step kings from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and Crimson Cloud Valley, as well as some golden-robed elders, all responded. Their auras erupted and gathered together, stirring up the wind and clouds. Roar! With a low roar, a tall figure appeared beside Lin Shui and the others. It was the Golden Eye Blood Zombie. Haha, mere half-step kings, and some ants who aren't even half-step kings, want to fight with me? You're overestimating yourselves. You're courting death. Xueqiao sneered. A dog like you dares to attack the Mystic Essence Sword Sect? You're even more overestimating yourself. You're courting death. As Xueqiao's voice fell, another cold voice sounded. Hearing this voice, Xueqiao and Qiu Changkong's bodies shook violently as they cried out involuntarily, Lu Ming. As for Lin Shui, Hua Qi, and the others, their bodies also shook violently as they cried out, Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Everyone couldn't help but look toward the source of the voice. In the distant sky, a bolt of lightning flashed and flew over. Too fast, it was really too fast. A moment ago, it was at least a few dozen li away, but in the next moment, it was right in front of them. With a flash of lightning, a handsome figure appeared in the sky. If it wasn't Lu Ming, who else could it be? Good, I've made it. Lu Ming's gaze swept over, and he immediately felt relieved. In these 5 days, he hadn't slept or rested as he madly rushed over. He had finally made it. Lu Ming, why did you come alone? The other side has a king. Hurry up and leave and report this matter to the upper echelons of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Lin Shui hurriedly cried out. That's right. Lu Ming, hurry up and leave. As Emperor Heaven Divine Guards, they actually abused their authority and mobilized the Blood Zhao Empire's army. This is against the rules of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. As long as you report this, I don't think they will dare to do anything to us. Hua Qi also cried out. The other side had a king, and Lu Ming wasn't their opponent at all. It was better to leave first and report the situation to the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Lu Ming was an Eastern Sky Divine Guard, and his status wasn't something they could compare to. As long as he reported the situation, the upper echelons of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace would definitely pay attention to it. It's fine. Lu Ming waved his hand slightly, and Lin Shui and the others quieted down. Unknowingly, Lu Ming already had great prestige in the hearts of Lin Shui and the rest. Chapter 481. As soon as he said that, Xueqiao and Qiu Changkong's faces darkened. How dare you insult my master? You're courting death. Xuechao shouted. Insult your master? I called him an old dog because I think highly of him. Today, I'll kill you first and then kill that old dog in the future. Lu Ming said coldly. Lin Shui and the others were stunned when they heard that. Although they didn't know who Xuechao's master was, Xuechao himself was a king. Therefore, they knew that Xuechao's master was definitely extraordinary. Moreover, what did Lu Ming just say? Kill Xuechao. Kill a king. They couldn't wrap their heads around it. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you want to kill me? You're the one who's going to die today. Xuechao laughed maniacally. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered and took a step forward toward Xuechao. Lu Ming, don't be afraid of me. I'll let you have a taste of my new ultimate skill, the immortal lightning slash. Xuechao roared and a battle sword that was flickering with lightning appeared in his hand. The aura of a martial king erupted from his body. He became one with the sword and turned into a lightning sword light that charged toward Lu Ming. Be careful! Lin Shui and the others shouted in horror. However, it was too late. The sword light arrived in front of Lu Ming in an instant. It was too fast. At that moment, they were in despair. They thought that Lu Ming would most likely die under the sword. However, what happened next petrified them. Whoosh! With one hand behind his back, Lu Ming used his other hand to slap him. Then, Xuechao's attack, sword chi, and lightning were all defeated in an instant. Slap! A loud slap resounded throughout the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. Lu Ming's slap landed on Xuechao's face. Xuechao flew a few thousand meters away and spun a few hundred times in the air before coming to a stop. One side of his face was swollen like a pig's head. Not a single tooth was left in his mouth, and blood was flowing down his face continuously. However, Xuechao didn't seem to have any reaction to this. His eyes were wide open as he looked at Lu Ming with a dumbfounded expression. Qiu Chongkong was stunned, Qiu Wuyang was stunned, and so were the experts of the Solar Legion. On the Mystic Essence Sword sect side, Lin Shui, Ling Patian, Hua Qi, Yan Quan, and the others were completely dumbfounded. The entire place was silent. Everyone stared at this scene with their mouths agape. Xuechao was a king-level figure. 5 days ago, Xuechao had destroyed the Mystic Essence Sword sect's grand formation with a casual slash of his sword. His strength made people despair. But now, such a powerful king had unleashed all his strength to kill Lu Ming, but Lu Ming had sent him flying with a slap as though he was a chick. What was going on? How was this possible? Everyone's brains seemed to have short-circuited, unable to react for a moment. Martial King, Lu Ming, you actually broke through to the Martial King realm. After a while, Xuechao finally let out a hysterical scream. His voice was filled with disbelief. How long had it been? Lu Ming had broken through to the Martial King realm. He simply couldn't accept it. After all, he had been a half-step king for several years, accumulating strength for several years before he was lucky enough to break through. But now, how long had it been since Lu Ming had broken through? Monster, he's a monster. Xuechao felt his heart trembling as he emitted endless fear. Hua! Xuechao's scream ignited the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. What? Lu Ming, he broke through to the Martial King realm. Martial King, ha ha ha, my Mystic Essence Sword sect finally has a Martial King. Hey, Lu Ming has already left the Mystic Essence Sword sect. I don't care, I'm sure he's from the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Such a young Martial King, this is unbelievable. We're saved now. Regardless of whether it was the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect or the Crimson Cloud Valley, they were so happy that they were about to lose their minds. They only knew how to shout crazily to express the ecstasy and excitement in their hearts. Among them, there were even many old elders who were the same. As for Lin Shui, Ling Patian and the other higher-ups, they were not any better. They were all trembling with excitement. Martial King, Lu Ming has broken through to the Martial King realm. Lin Shui roared, his voice trembling. If Lu Ming could break through to the Martial King realm in the future, he would not be surprised. But now, Lu Ming had broken through to the Martial King realm. This was simply too shocking. How old was Lu Ming? Not even 20 years old, right? A Martial King younger than 20 years old had never appeared in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. How is this possible? How is this possible? Let's go, let's go. Qiu Changkong screamed, he was scared out of his wits. He frantically flew away, as far as possible from Lu Ming. Lu Ming was simply going to become his nightmare. Leave. Qiu Changkong, you have nowhere to go today. Lu Ming looked coldly at Qiu Changkong. Qiu Changkong's body was emitting cold air, he was so scared that he almost wet himself. At this moment, boom! Boom! Suddenly, 5 auras burst out from the army of the Shifang sword sect. Each of the 5 auras was boundless and as heavy as a mountain. These 5 auras were all of the auras of martial kings. Moreover, each of them was much stronger than Xueqiao's. In particular, one of them was extremely terrifying. It was vast and mighty, like a surging ocean. The terrifying pressure covered the entire area. Many of the weaker cultivators fell to the ground. Then, 5 figures stepped out and floated in the air. They were 5 muscular men. They were extremely burly and their muscles were as solid as steel. The man in the middle had a single eye. He was the one who had released the most terrifying aura. 2 of them are early stage and 2 of them are mid-stage martial king. The middle-aged man has reached early stage martial king realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he saw through the man's cultivation. Lin Shui and the others opened their eyes wide in fear. Martial kings, more martial kings. Moreover, 5 martial kings had appeared at once. Judging from their auras, each of them was much stronger than Xueqiao. How could this be? The Blazing Sun Empire had not produced a martial king for thousands of years. Even Lin Shui and the others, who were half-step martial kings, had only seen a few martial kings in their lives. But what was going on today? Why were there martial kings appearing one after another? What was the purpose of these martial kings? Lin Shui and the others had a bad feeling in their hearts. Lu Ming, you can't kill anyone today. On the contrary, today is your doomsday. At this moment, the one-eyed man in the middle spoke. His voice was filled with killing intent. Lin Shui and the others were shocked. Were these martial kings here to kill Lu Ming? Who are you? Lu Ming's eyes were calm as he asked indifferently. Hehe, you don't need to know who we are. You only need to know that we are here to kill you. The one-eyed man let out a hollow laugh. Hehe, do you really think I don't know if you don't tell me? It's none other than that old dog, the Thunder Hall leader. That old dog is so cunning. In order to kill me, he has set up a series of traps and sent so many martial kings here, including a 3rd-layer martial king expert. Chapter 482. Now, how could Lu Ming not understand? Since he had accepted the mission, it had been a series of traps. While he was doing the mission, Song Ku and the bald man had been bribed by the Thunder Hall Master to kill him. It would be best if they could kill Lu Ming during the mission. If Lu Ming did not die, they would tell Lu Ming about Qiu Changkong and Xueqiao attacking the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Lu Ming would definitely rush back at all costs. Furthermore, the Thunder Hall Master had already placed experts here, waiting for Lu Ming to take the bait and kill him in one fell swoop. It was a series of traps, one after another. Their goal was to put Lu Ming to death. After hearing this, the one-eyed man and the others laughed coldly, but did not say anything. It was a tacit agreement. Haha, Lu Ming, let's see how arrogant you are now. Today is the day you die. When Qiu Changkong saw the appearance of the one-eyed man and the others, he finally stopped running away. He gathered his courage and looked at Lu Ming with disdain as he burst out laughing. Kill him for me. No, don't kill him yet. Beat him until he is crippled. I want to kill all his friends and family in front of him. I want him to watch his family die in front of him. I want him to regret it and die in regret. Xue Chao yelled crazily. After being tortured by Lu Ming time and time again, his hatred for Lu Ming had penetrated deep into his bones. If you two dogs don't run now, you won't have the chance later. Lu Ming glanced coldly at Xiu Changkong and Xue Chao. The two of them could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. However, when they thought about the presence of the one-eyed man and the others, their courage was boosted. So what if Lu Ming had broken through to the Martial Emperor realm? He had just broken through to the Martial Emperor realm. The difference between each layer of the Martial Emperor realm was huge. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, it was impossible for him to fight against the one-eyed man who was 2 layers above him. Furthermore, with the help of the other 4 experts, Lu Ming was doomed. Lu Ming, cut the crap. Die! The one-eyed man exuded an astonishing aura. Big brother, he's just a brat who just broke through to Martial King. Why would he need you to take action? I'd like to see what kind of ability this Eastern Sky Divine Guard has. Another large man walked out, holding a spear in his hand, showing off his sharpness. That's fine. 5th brother, you go first. Let's see what skills this Eastern Sky Divine Guard has. Some people are very strong in the Martial Ancestor realm, but after breaking through to the Martial King realm, they become ordinary. Therefore, just because the Martial Ancestor realm is strong, it doesn't mean that after breaking through to the Martial King realm, their battle prowess will remain strong. The one-eyed man said. Even if Lu Ming is a genius, he can still fight those above his level. That great Han Dynasty cultivator is only at the early stage of the 2nd layer Martial King realm, so he should be able to protect himself. The one-eyed man thought. Haha, good. The burly man strode towards Lu Ming. The aura on his body was incomparably violent. He coldly shouted, Lu Ming, die. Whoosh! The long spear in the burly man's hand was thrust forward. A sharp spear pierced through the air, aiming at Lu Ming. Since you're courting death, I'll send you on your way first. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. True Dragon Strike. Roar! Lu Ming thrust his spear forward, and a tricolor True Dragon lunged forward with a furious roar. Bang! The spear of the burly man was shattered by the tricolor True Dragon's claw. The tricolor True Dragon did not stop there, and continued to lunge at the burly man. 5th brother, watch out! The one-eyed man yelled. However, it was too late. The tricolor True Dragon fiercely collided with the burly man's body. The burly man let out a blood-curdling scream as his body was sent flying backward like a broken sack. Blood spurted out from his body in midair. He was severely injured in one move. Die! A thunderbolt spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a wave, the thunderbolt spear turned into a flash of lightning, thrusting toward the burly man. It was too fast for the burly man to dodge. Slash! The thunderbolt spear pierced through the burly man's chest, leaving a large hole. Ah, big brother, avenge me! The burly man did not die immediately. He let out a blood-curdling scream before his life was cut off. 5th brother! 5th brother! The remaining 4 burly men let out blood-curdling screams one after another. In the Mystic Essence Sword sect, Lin Shui and the others were dumbfounded. Although the Martial King realm was beyond their knowledge, judging from their auras, they knew that the 5 burly men were extremely terrifying experts. Any one of them was several times stronger than Xue Chaoqiang. However, such powerful experts, such existences that they had to look up to, were killed by Lu Ming in just 2 moves. Lu Ming's combat strength was simply beyond their imagination. Heavens, how long has it been? Lu Ming has already grown to this stage. Indeed, the Blazing Sun Empire is too small. It's like a quagmire, and Lu Ming is a true dragon. Only when a true dragon leaves the quagmire can it soar to the 9 heavens and display its true brilliance. The ancestor of the Ghost Moon Saber sect, Shengwan Ming, muttered to himself. On the other hand, Zhou Changkong and Xue Chao were the complete opposite. Their faces were pale and bloodless. Especially Xue Chao, who was drenched in cold sweat. If Lu Ming wanted to kill him just now, he would have been dead already. When he thought of this, he shuddered. How can this be? How can Lu Ming's combat strength be so strong? Why? How did he cultivate? Heavens, why are you so unfair? Why am I not the one who is so strong? Zhou Changkong stared at Lu Ming with jealousy as he roared in his heart. Lu Ming, how dare you kill my fifth brother? You deserve to die, you deserve to die. Kill! Let's attack together and tear Lu Ming into pieces. Don't let any of his family members go. The one-eyed burly man roared. Kill! Kill! The other burly men's eyes were bloodshot as they emitted a cold killing intent. A long spear appeared in each of their hands. Whoosh! Whoosh! The four burly men joined forces and unleashed shocking means to assassinate Lu Ming. You will be the ones to die. Lu Ming shouted and waved his hand. Between heaven and earth, endless power of thunder and lightning gathered and condensed into a long spear. This long spear of thunder and lightning exuded a terrifying thunder concept. Thunder and lightning flashed, just like the power of heaven. The experts of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, Sun Core, and Decimo Sword Sect, such as Qiu Wuyang, widened their eyes and stared at Lu Ming. Under this pressure, it was as if they were facing the might of the heavens. Their bodies trembled and they almost knelt down. Is this Lu Ming's strength? They thought with trembling hearts. Level 1 Lesser Success Lightning Intent. Impossible. Didn't you just break through to the Martial King realm? How is this possible? The one-eyed burly man roared in horror. Kill! Lu Ming did not bother to talk nonsense with them. He shouted and thrust his long spear out. Whoosh! Whoosh! Four spear radiances instantly pierced through the void and stabbed towards the four burly men. Bam! 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 Four explosions sounded and the attacks of the four burly men were destroyed at the same time. The lightning spear did not stop and continued to pierce through. Following which, three blood-curdling screams were heard. Apart from the one-eyed burly man, the other three burly men followed in the footsteps of the previous man. Their chests were pierced by the lightning spear and their hearts were burnt by the power of the lightning. Second brother, third brother, fourth brother. Although the one-eyed burly man had escaped death, he coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and screamed. Big brother, leave quickly. This man is monstrous. You are no match for him. One of the burly men roared before he breathed his last. Ah, Lu Ming, I will fight you to the death. Chapter 483. The one-eyed man did not try to escape. Instead, he charged towards Lu Ming. Swoosh! Zhang Mao streaked across the sky and instantly traversed a distance of a few thousand meters, charging toward Lu Ming. Run! Run! On the other side, Xue Chao and Zhou Changkong were screaming in fear as they flew away. They did not dare to stay any longer. In their eyes, Lu Ming was a devil. It's too late to run. Lu Ming sneered. With a thought, the demon-banishing spear appeared in his hand. Extreme Dao Strike. Swoosh! Man and spear became one, forming the Extreme Dao Strike. Poochie! When Lu Ming's figure appeared, there was also a big hole in the chest of the one-eyed burly man. Lu Ming unleashed his most powerful attack and killed the one-eyed burly man in seconds. Roar! The Nine Dragons' bloodline appeared and sucked in the blood essence of the one-eyed man and the others. Lu Ming devoured all of them. Immediately after, Lu Ming took a step forward and chased after Xue Chao. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Xue Chao. Ah, no! Xue Chao was so scared that he almost peed his pants. His face was pale as he retreated frantically. Xue Chao, I said that you will die today. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. No, Lu Ming, don't kill me. If you kill me, my master will not let you go. It won't do you any good. Xuechao screamed in fear. Don't worry. It won't be long before that old dog, Palace Master Lei, will accompany you. Lu Ming said coldly. Soon after, he stabbed out with his spear. Ah! Ah! No! Xuechao roared crazily and used all of his strength to block the attack. However, it was all in vain. Lu Ming's spear pierced through and all of his resistance turned into ashes. Blood splattered as Xuechao was pierced through by the spear. Xuechao was dead. At the same time, Xuechao's blood essence was devoured by Lu Ming. His storage ring was also taken away by Lu Ming. With a turn of his body, Lu Ming disappeared. Run, run, run. Qiu Changkong's face was pale, and his lips were trembling. But in the next moment, a figure appeared in front of him. Ah! Lu Ming, don't kill me! Qiu Changkong roared. His body trembled uncontrollably, and cold sweat trickled down his face. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Lu Ming said coldly. Just as Qiu Changkong was overjoyed, Lu Ming continued, because the person who killed you shouldn't be me. Bang! Lu Ming directly kicked out at Qiu Changkong's dantian. Violent energy surged into Qiu Changkong's dantian, directly dispersing the cyclone. Qiu Changkong's cultivation base was crippled. Lu Ming, you crippled my cultivation. Ah, you crippled my cultivation. You bastard, you bastard. Qiu Changkong screamed in despair. Nonsense. Lu Ming gave Qiu Changkong a slap, sending him flying dozens of miles away to the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Take him down. Lin Shui shouted excitedly. Immediately, an expert flew out and took Qiu Changkong down. Retreat, retreat. At this moment, Qiu Wuyang and the experts of the Sun Corps were all scared out of their wits. They screamed crazily, wanting to retreat. But how could an army move so quickly? Today, none of you will be able to leave. Lu Ming's figure appeared in the sky above the Sun Corps. King, please spare us. We are from the Great Sun Prefecture, and our old ancestor is also a king, an armored general roared. But what answered him was Lu Ming's punch. This punch contained an endless amount of power of thunder, and it exploded out directly. Sizzle, countless lightning bolts flickered in the sky. Below, the soldiers of the Sun Corps screamed. In an instant, at least a few thousand soldiers of the Sun Corps were killed by the lightning bolts. Including the few half-step kings, they were all killed. Attack! Everyone attack! Annihilate the omnidirectional sword sect and the Sun Corps. Lin Shui roared. Everyone attack! Ling Padian also roared. Shua! Shua! Figures rushed out from the Mystic Essence Sword sect and charged towards the omnidirectional sword sect and the Sun Corps. Kill! In addition, those martial artists below the martial ancestor realm also roared furiously and charged out of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. How could this be? The sect master of the omnidirectional sword sect, Qiu Wuyang, let out a mournful wail before running away. As for the rest of the omnidirectional sword sect, he couldn't care less about them. Even if everyone died, how could it compare to his life? But suddenly, a figure appeared in front of him. Lu Ming. Qiu Wuyang roared in horror. Lu Ming didn't bother to talk nonsense with him. He kicked Qiu Wuyang's dantian, and Qiu Wuyang immediately followed in Qiu Changkong's footsteps. Sizzle, Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air and dozens of lightning spears appeared. The next moment, they shot out. Puff! Puff! In the army of the omnidirectional sword sect and the Sun Corps, all martial artists above the 9th martial ancestor realm were pierced by the lightning spears and killed. After killing these people, Lu Ming didn't attack again. He stood quietly in the air and began to refine the blood essence of the one-eyed man and the others. Once the higher-ups of the omnidirectional sword sect and the Sun Corps died, the rest were like a sheet of loose sand. They were no match for Lin Shui and the others. It was a one-sided massacre. Therefore, there was no need for Lu Ming to attack. Rumble. The blood essence of the one-eyed man and the others was extremely rich. Lu Ming converted half of it into true essence and used the other half to upgrade the second bloodline. After a while, the second bloodline shook and the sixth silver chakra appeared. The second bloodline also upgraded to the sixth level of the king class. After a while, the second bloodline reached the limit of the sixth level of the king class. Lu Ming's cultivation also improved a little and reached the peak of the early stage of the martial king realm. 1 LV3 martial king, 4 LV2 martial king, and 1 LV1 martial king can only improve my cultivation by a little. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It seemed that he would need more resources to break through to the martial king class and improve his cultivation. Not far away, battle cries shook the sky, but it was a completely one-sided situation. Soon, the battle cries died down. Only a few of the people of the omnidirectional sword sect and the Sun Corps escaped. Most of them were killed. Especially the higher-ups of the omnidirectional sword sect and the Sky Demon sect. This time, in order to annihilate the Mystic Essence Sword sect in one fell swoop, the 10 Directions Sword sect had sent out 90% of their experts, and the Heaven Fiend sect had sent out 80% of their experts, but all of them had been annihilated in the battle. Including the sect leaders of the Omnidirectional Sword sect and the Sky Demon sect. Roar! At this moment, a roar was heard. Lu Ming looked over. Golden-eyed. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. At this moment, the golden-eyed blood zombie was wrapped in an extremely rich blood chi. The blood chi gathered and formed a huge blood cocoon in the air. Golden-eyed blood essence has also absorbed the blood of the one-eyed man and the others. It seems that it's going to evolve again after absorbing the blood of a king-class expert. Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, Lin Shui, Ling Patian, Sheng Wanming, Yen Quan, and the others appeared not far from Lu Ming. Greetings, Lord King. Lin Shui wanted to call out to Lu Ming, but she quickly reacted and bowed with cupped fists. Greetings, Lord King. Chapter 484. In the world of martial arts, strength was the most important. The stronger one was, the higher one's status. It had nothing to do with seniority. At this moment, Lin Shui and the others looked at Lu Ming with respect and awe. A king. The Blazing Sun Empire had finally given birth to another king. Moreover, he was so young. They were trembling with excitement. 5 days ago, Xue Chao had displayed his king's strength and destroyed the Mystic Essence Sword sect protection array. How powerful was that? They were already in despair. However, they did not expect that the moment Lu Ming appeared, the situation would be completely reversed. With Bayanai Tianxia's spirit, he had defeated his opponent. In the crowd, Yen Quan had mixed feelings. In his mind, the various situations of the Mo family in the Yin Moon Empire appeared in his mind. At that time, Lu Ming was so weak. Compared to him, the difference was like heaven and earth. However, after a short while, the situation had completely reversed. Now, Lu Ming was much stronger than him. This is the legendary supreme talent. I didn't expect to meet him. Yen Quan sighed. Let's return to the mountain gate. Lu Ming said. Outside the Mystic Essence Sword sect, there were naturally many people dealing with the aftermath. As for Lu Ming and the others, they had already returned to the mountain gate. Lu Ming, I beg you, let me go. Please let me go. As soon as Lu Ming returned to the mountain gate, Qiu Changkong begged hysterically. At this moment, Qiu Changkong's cultivation had been crippled and all his meridians were broken. He was even worse than an ordinary person. He lay on the ground and begged miserably. Changkong, what's there to beg for? The winner takes all. The worst that can happen is death. Qiu Wuyang was similar to Qiu Changkong, but he was much more stubborn. He sat on the ground and shouted coldly. "Shut up, old man. It's all because of you. I, Chiu Changkong, was a genius and had a bright future. It's all because of your ambition that I offended Lu Ming and ended up like this. It's all because of you, old man. Hurry up and die." Chiu Changkong stared at Chiu Wuyang and shouted crazily. Chiu Wuyang stared blankly at Chiu Changkong. He could not believe that Chiu Changkong would talk to him like that. "Lu Ming, it's all because of this old man. It's all because of this old man. He was the one who instigated me. If you want to kill someone, kill him. I'm innocent." Chiu Changkong shouted. "Really?" Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He then moved and flew toward a mountain peak behind the Mystic Essence Sword sect. There was a small mountain behind the Mystic Essence Sword sect. On top of the mountain, there was a courtyard where Lu Yuntian and Li Ping lived. "Brother Tian, Ming should be back. Will he be all right?" Li Ping said worriedly. Just now, Chiu Changkong and the others had shouted Lu Ming's name, and it had spread throughout the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. Naturally, they had also heard it. "Ming is a prodigy. He should be fine. Don't worry." Lu Yuntian consoled. Although he said that, his eyes were filled with worry. The battle just now was too shocking. It was as if the heavens were shaking and the earth was shaking. It was like the end of the world. This kind of scene had already exceeded the scope of their understanding. Therefore, they couldn't help but worry that Lu Ming had encountered an unimaginable enemy. "Master, madam." At this moment, a burly man rushed in. "How is it? How's the situation?" Li Ping asked anxiously. "Master, madam, it's a great victory. Young Master Lu Ming has returned and killed his opponent. Now, Shifang's sword sect is almost destroyed," the burly man said excitedly. Really?" Lu Yuntian widened his eyes in shock. In his heart, Shifang's sword sect was an invincible force that dominated the Blazing Sun Empire. Now, it was almost destroyed. How was that possible? Did Ming do it? Lu Yuntian thought to himself. "Old Master, madam, there is another piece of great news. Young Master Lu Ming seems to have become a king. A high and mighty martial arts king," the burly man said excitedly. His voice was trembling as he spoke. "What?" Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were stunned. "A martial king? Ming has become a martial king?" After a while, they came to their senses. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and excitement. With their previous status, it was naturally impossible for them to come into contact with a martial king. It was even difficult for them to come into contact with a martial king. However, they had heard of the martial king many times. They were legendary figures who were like immortals that had the power to destroy the world. They had a lifespan of thousands of years and could overlook the changes in the world. There hadn't been a martial king in the Blazing Sun Empire for thousands of years. Now, their son had become such a figure. They thought they were dreaming. "Lu Chun, is it true?" Lu Yintian's voice was trembling. He used to be a real martial artist, so he knew what it meant to be a martial king. In the past, Lu Yintian had worked hard to reach the martial king realm. As for the martial king realm, he didn't even dare to think about it. Now, his son, Lu Ming, had reached it. "It's true. There's no doubt about it," the burly man said firmly. Buzz! At this moment, the space trembled, and a figure emerged. They were shocked, but when they took a closer look, they couldn't help but be ecstatic. Ming-er. Li Ping hurriedly walked in front of Lu Ming and looked at him carefully. In her eyes, whether Lu Ming was a martial king or not, it was the same. He was her son. "Father, mother, Ming-er is back to see you," Lu Ming said. "Ming-er, you broke through to the martial king realm?" Lu Yuntian asked with a trembling voice. He looked at Lu Ming expectantly. Father, I was lucky to break through 5 days ago. Lu Ming scratched his head and said. Ha ha ha, you really broke through to the Martial King realm. Ha ha ha, that's great. My son is a Martial King, and such a young one. After receiving Lu Ming's confirmation, Lu Yuntian was extremely excited and laughed loudly. He was even happier than when he broke through to the Martial King realm. Father, I'm here today to ask you about an old matter. Lu Ming said. An old matter? Lu Yuntian was puzzled. Father, mother, come with me. Lu Ming waved his hand and a true essence light screen enveloped Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. Then, he turned into a bolt of lightning and disappeared in a flash. In the next moment, they appeared in front of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. So fast. Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were shocked. That mountain was dozens of miles away from the Mystic Essence Sword sect, but they arrived in an instant. In their eyes, such means were no different from the means of a god. But this person was their son, so they were even happier. Greetings, Master Lu, Madam Lu. Lin Shui and the others hurriedly bowed when they saw Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. They didn't dare to slight them. Sect leader Lin, seniors, you're too polite. Lu Yuntian bowed back. Qiu Changkong,